of mine because gardening is not a skill of mine. I do think I can handle some fresh herbs, which I'll need right now because I'm making ham and scallion scones with a lemon chevre, playing on the high tea idea of scones and clotted cream. Now that's a staple with high tea. 3 cups of all-purpose flour. Add a 1/4 cup of sugar. Even though this is a savory scone, you need a little bit of sugar in there to help make the scone texture be nice and tender. A tablespoon of baking powder. You want little bits of cold butter within the pastry to ensure that it's flaky, because those little bits of butter in there puff up when they hit the heat of the oven, and that steam creates the layers of flakiness. So that's 3/4 cup right into the dough. When I work in the butter, I think of wrapping tiny bits of butter with flour to create those little cold butter pockets. Now I switch my technique a little bit as I start flattening the butter. I'm creating flaky, flat pieces of cold butter, and that's going to lend to flaky, buttery layers in the scone. Now 1 cup of cold buttermilk and a cup of diced up Black Forest ham and a cup of chopped scallions. I apply the principle of making puff pastry here. I make puff pastry from scratch, and it involves lots of rolling out the dough and folding it. And then you roll the dough and fold it again. And each time I fold it, I gather some of the dry bits and work it into the dough, and that's creating beautiful flaky layers. And look at that flakiness in there. Isn't that amazing? So I haven't even baked it and it's already flaky. I'll shape it each into a round. I know Susan's going to love these. I don't have the ham and scallion ones at the bakery, so she hasn't had these before. So I cut it into 8 wedges. I love seeing that flakiness. I know these are going to bake up beautifully. And I'll use just a touch of the buttermilk to brush on the tops. This makes them shine and brown nicely. And buttermilk, because it's tangy and lemony tasting, makes for a great vinaigrette or salad dressing, and you don't have to add nearly as much oil as you do a normal vinaigrette. The oven is heated to 375, so that way as soon as the scones hit the heat of the oven, that baking powder goes to work, the butter melts, steams up, poof, and we'll have fluffy, flaky scones in about 15 to 18 minutes. Well, at tea time you would serve a sweet scone with clotted cream, that thick, super rich. It's almost like mascarpone, it's got a natural sweetness to it. But since we're going on the savory side, I thought a lemon goat cheese would be a perfect accompaniment. It doesn't have that sort of thick cream consistency to it, so I'm going to enhance that with a little bit of buttermilk, because buttermilk too has that lemony flavor. And of course some lemon, a little zest, and then a little juice too. That for definitely a punch of color and to tie in the flavors, some fresh herbs. I thought working in some fresh mint, beautiful fresh mint, would be a nice tie-in to the tea we'll be having with the scones and the chevre. I'll cut the mint in a chiffonade, rolling the leaves together and then slicing across the leaf. The dill I can just chop up finely. One of my favorite sandwiches on the run, which I think is what's influencing these flavor combinations, is a little bit of goat cheese with some fresh dill and a slice of Black Forest ham on a nice multigrain bread. Only the roasted pepper salad bundles to make, and then it's time for tea.